Step into a West Virginia courtroom. The judge is just about to throw the book at a white couple who tortured their adopted black kids. It came out during trial. They treated them like slaves. And Circuit Court Judge Mary Claire Akers isn't having it.
Both of you refused to accept responsibility throughout the trial and still here today, which makes my job a lot easier. And instead of apologizing today, because you never have said you're sorry, but what you did do was put on one of the most reprehensible, narcissistic defenses that I have ever seen in my years of trial work. And may God have mercy on your souls, because this court will not.
Their sentence will be handed down in minutes in Blackland.
And now,
as a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
Where we're from.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom. Where we are.
Get on the ground!
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
First of all, neighbors knew something was fishy. An older white couple, 62-year-old Donald Lantz and his 63-year-old wife, Jeanne Whitefeather, moved to a speck of a place called Sissonville, West Virginia, population about 4,000, and they had 5 black kids in tow, siblings they adopted. Neighbors noticed the black kids working the land for hours like slaves. Other weird stuff, like the kids standing outside in one spot, lined up, not moving, with their hands on their heads. That began what became several calls to Child Protective Services. But this is what did it. When neighbors saw 2 of the older children, ages 14 and 16, living locked in the barn, more like a shed, no heat or air, no bed or bathroom.
911, where is your emergency?
I'm not sure who I talked to about this. It's still more like a wellness check on children.
Metro Communications.
But there is a family that we have been calling CPS on. Multiple times, he has 2 kids walked in and out building.
The timing was perfect. The parents were not at home. Sheriff deputies came, broke down the shed door. One testified what opening the door was like.
I was appalled, for the lack of a better term. As soon as the door was open, the heat from inside hit us. The smell it made my eyes water.
Conditions in that funky barn, the deputy says, hardly appropriate for children.
There was a table and 1 chair, no running water, no circulating air, no beds. The toilet for the children looked like a hospital pan or like a camping toilet.
Then there was a 3rd child deputies found in the house.
I don't believe there was any circulating air in the house either. It was a very nice house. There was hardly furniture in it. Very hot, very, very empty.
Also taking the stand during the trial that had the white parents in handcuffs were the white neighbors who saw the black children were not clean, groomed, cared for. The kids carried buckets of water back and forth, working outside in all weather. Neighbors compared notes.
So they'd be like, hey, I've not seen these kids change. Have you seen these kids change? Nope, they're wearing the same thing from yesterday that they were, or they're from 5 days ago that they had on. So it was involving, you don't want to be suspicious of people, but you are when you start noticing those different details every day are the same thing.
The charges stunned the town. The parents hit with human trafficking, never tried here before. Also, charges of abuse and civil rights violations. The couple and the children moved from Washington State and stuck out like a sore thumb. To document the horror, there was video, since the parents, for a 24-hour surveillance, stuck a camera in that barn. You see the children with their once daily meal of peanut butter sandwiches, sleeping on the floor or standing with their hands on their heads. It was a case that made headline news, and everybody was talking.
This is a couple out of West Virginia who adopted 5 black children, and this couple is being accused right now of forcing those children to work as slaves
It is a case that is so brutal and upsetting that it has drawn national outrage. Jeanne Whitefeather and Donald Lantz, a white West Virginia couple, adopted 5 black children, but not to love them, no, to abuse them.
Jeanne Whitefeather and her husband, Donald Lantz, adopted the 5 children in 2018. The white couple claims one of the older kids, a boy, had mental issues, which is why he and his sister were in what Whitefeather and her husband called the clubhouse.
Did you lock your kids up in a barn?
No, I did not.
What about the classroom? Did you lock them up in the classroom?
I did not.
Well, I saw 8 hours of video here. Looked like they were locked in. You tell me they weren't locked in?
They weren't locked in. They had a key, and they could come and go as they pleased.
Jeanne Whitefeather on the stand. Listen as she pushes back against allegations she took a whip to the 14-year-old boy with the mental issues.
I'm his mommy. I mean, they can disown me, but I will never disown them. As far as I'm concerned, they're my children.
You love all your children.
I love all my children.
The older daughter called her a monster. Donald Lantz testifying about the difficulty raising the boy with the issues. He says he constantly wet his pants.
You know, after the 100th time that your 10 to 13-year-old kid, you know, who wets his pants, you know, it gets a little bit frustrating because every time it takes time, you have to get him cleaned up, change his clothes, and get his clothes changed, and it gets frustrating.
The cruel couple had texts with racial slurs about the kids. Jeanne sprayed the children with bear spray. She tried her best to clean up the damage, convinced the jury they weren't doing it for the money. They really had the best intentions.
I just like the court to know that I have made mistakes, and I'm very sorry for that, and I love my children.
The verdict is in.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jeanne K. Whitefeather, guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of human trafficking of a minor child.
After listening to testimony for 2 weeks, the jury came back guilty. For her, there was the added guilty for violating the civil rights of the children. The couple claimed they just wanted to adopt one child, opting in the end not to break up the siblings and adopt them all in 2018. They say the children became too much to handle. They moved from Washington State to West Virginia in 2023. They needed a quiet place. The prosecutor says they thought a town in a ruby red state would provide them racial cover.
They bet that people of West Virginia would not care if they mistreated their black children right out in front of the world.
White neighbors agree the adopted parents were wrong about that.
We're not just rednecks or hicks or, you know, that doesn't watch out for one another. The biggest thing about West Virginia is we all love one another. And we're going to notice when you're doing something wrong, and we're going to stick up for those people.
Jeanne Whitefeather clinging to the fantasy that she's a good mother.
I just like the court to know that I have made mistakes, and I'm very sorry for that. And I love my children. I have never, ever done anything to any one of my 8 children to harm them intentionally.
Weeks later, Judgment Day, time for the sentence. Judge Akers gets her say. Before handing down sentencing, she told them what she really thinks of these so-called loving parents.
Both of you refused to accept responsibility throughout the trial and still here today, which makes my job a lot easier. And instead of apologizing today, because you never have said you're sorry, but what you did do was put on one of the most reprehensible, narcissistic defenses that I have ever seen in my years of trial work. And may God have mercy on your souls, because this court will not.
And the court did not. For Jeanne Whitefeather, 215 years behind bars. And for Donald Lantz, 160 years in prison. The children, the 3 oldest who testified about years of abuse and neglect, they also gave victim impact statements. One read, she would be something in life in spite of the white couple. Funny, one of the kids asked if they, Jeanne Whitefeather and Donald Lantz, could be made to stand with their hands on their heads. Ironically, the judge says that would be cruel and unusual punishment. The kids are thriving now, living in foster care. Prosecutors thank the neighbors for seeing something and saying something, but it is the children who face their monsters who will be remembered most.
I can't imagine the courage it took for a child to take the stand and testify against someone who, at one point in their life, they considered a parent.
The couple, now sitting in prison, plans to appeal. I'm Vanessa Tyler. Be sure to check back. A new episode of Blackland drops every week.